right. Here we go, man. Man. Good morning, man. How y'all doing? Comedian Leon the Jokester here. Man, you know what I forgot this morning? Before we start the podcast, I forgot my hot tea. Oh my goodness, man. I forgot my hot tea. What am I gonna do now? Okay, well, it's all good, man. We got some stuff to cover today. Um, and then we'll try to keep this one short and sweet. We don't want to go too long because we do have three other business meetings to cover later today. So we better get straight to this. But the most important thing, every single morning, you got to spend time in the presence of God and study the word and make sure that, you're focused. I woke up early this morning and my first thought was healing, the healing process, the healing process, the healing process. Okay. So my heart has been burdened lately because one thing about stand-up comedy is that a lot of times we give a quick joke to hide a heavy heart. I'll say that. We'll tell a quick joke to hide a heavy heart. And this morning when I woke up, my heart was pretty heavy because I kept thinking about all of the comedians that had committed suicide, like Brody Stevens. He played in the movie Hangover. Robin Williams, he had went into severe depression and he committed suicide. Who else? Um, Jack Knight. Jack Knight was the African American that was signed with Netflix, making lots of money, and he shot himself in the head. And that was recent. That was like less than a month ago. And so I don't know, man. Like, when you are in the industry, you could feel each other's pain. I don't know if people understand that. Like, if you go to church, within your church, you're gonna feel people's like burdens. That's why it's heavy on a pastor's heart. That they're constantly praying for the people, not just the church, the whole world, but their people, like in that church. Same thing with comedy. You have a lot of comedians that have friendships, and if one comedian calls and says, "Man, I'm having a bad day," another comedian will call and say, "Man, I'm just calling to check on you. I ain't even need anything." It becomes a relationship. It becomes like fellowship. And sometimes, people are rejected out of groups. There's a thing called factions, 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 and that basically forms cliques. So let's say, for example, Robin Williams, right? He's famous. He was famous, right? One of the best to ever do it in film, acting, comedy. But what if he didn't have like the right circle, if that makes sense? Like, what if there was some people around him that just didn't have his best interests? So even when he was crying out for help, they just didn't have his best interest. They were more focused on the fame and the fortune part of it. Like, man, that's Robin Williams. I can't tell him he can't take those pills to fight depression. I can't tell him that he needs to go see a doctor. I can't do that. That's Robin Williams. And I think sometimes, we have to be that voice. If we really truly care, sometimes we have to be that voice. There's we understand that words have power, right? We understand that. If I say you're stupid, if I tell a kid you're stupid for 18 years, what do you think they're going to eventually believe? That they're stupid. If I tell a kid you're smart, you're intelligent, you're going to be great, you're going to be a world changer, what do you think they are going to eventually believe? That they can do it. And that doesn't change if you are an adult. Like, I've had people tell me negative things. Oh, your comedy isn't funny and you'll never go to the next level. And well, if you go to this show, they may not laugh at your jokes and all kinds of negative stuff. And then when they realize, wow, He overcame all of my negativity. Huh? Because I wasn't going to let those things get me down. Did they bother me? Of course. I'm a human being. I'm like, man, maybe I'm not funny. Maybe I should quit comedy. But right when those moments happen, that's when God will show you, like, no, I called you. Listen to my voice, not what men tell you. And I'm glad that I listened to God and I didn't give up, because it's hard sometimes, bro, when people are saying negative things and not really supporting you. And then you start thinking like, man, maybe this isn't for me. But the reality check is that's what makes it for you. That's what makes it for you. If anything, that's that you're on the right track. So at that point, I'm like, oh snap, bro. Like, I got a lot of work to do. And I've seen the fruit. I've seen it. I mean, I have shows booked for 2023, camps, people, CEOs, executive directors wanting me to come back, comedy shows, college tour, retirement home tour, high school tours. You know what I'm saying? Like, churches are still calling. Like, the bookings are coming in now. Why? Because I didn't give up. Consistency. But that's not what this video is about. I just kind of wanted to show you that, like, words have power, and we have to be mindful of that. Like, there's a comedian out right now named Bubba Dub. He's hilarious. I'll give it to him. But one thing I have to say is he capitalized on the word trash. So he's famous because he goes around and he calls a whole bunch of basketball players, football players, trash. Like he'll like make fun of how they play on the court. And yeah, it seems like it's all fun and games, but then I thought about something this morning. He calls Russell Westbrook. Everyone knows him. He calls his game trash. He's like, man, Russell Westbrook has like 18 turnovers. He's trash. And I start thinking about the fact that Russell Westbrook is not in a good spot right now. He's not in a good space right now. You got to pray for that brother's mind. Why? Because he got traded from Oklahoma City Thunder. He got traded to the Houston Rockets, then traded to the Washington Bullets. No, that's Washington Wizards. Who's the Bullets? Oh, snaps. I can't remember who the Bullets are. Is it Washington? No, because Washington Wizards. Okay, all I know is that wherever the Bullets are, he played for them. Then he got traded again to that Los Angeles Lakers. Well, the thing about it is when you start getting traded a lot in the NBA, that means that you're washed up and they don't want you anymore. So right now, we got to be very careful with our words and what we say, because you like Bubba Dub, the comedian, right? If he's telling everybody that's listening, because he has like lots of followers, like 500,000 followers, whatever. So his voice is being heard across the world. So if he's constantly calling someone who's having a rough time right now, right? Russell Westbrook is having a hard time. I don't think calling a person trash is the right thing to do. Even though in comedy we say it's just a joke, we're just playing. But remember, there's different ways that you can bully someone. There's different ways. Like if I continue to call you trash, like your game sucks, you're just trash. Eventually, those seeds will be planted in because because Russell Westbrook knows who Bubba Dub is. Shaquille O'Neal supports Bubba Dub, gives books and shows and everything. Like his voice is being heard. So we just got to be careful. That's all I'm saying. Because words have power, man. There's local comedians that have said stuff about me that I'm like, man, bro, I never even said anything about them. But that just shows you that when you're doing something right, that's when a lot of hate's gonna come your way. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was doing something right to fight for civil rights, but people wanted him dead, and they eventually killed him. Malcolm X, he stood for some good principles too, but they wanted him dead. Whenever, it's not always, just because people hate on you doesn't always mean that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes you could be doing everything right, but because of what you do, because who you stand for. If you believe in God, sometimes people will hate on you. That's why life is spiritual and physical. There's a divine law and a natural law. And you have to understand, if a person is walking around with a bad spirit, because it's spiritual and physical, if a person is walking around with a bad spirit, they could be mad at you because you believe in God, who is a spirit. So I think that we have to be very, very aware and careful of what we say, what we do, how we act. At the end of the day, I get it. Your First Amendment rights, and I get all that stuff, bro. Freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want, whatever's on my heart. But there's a lot of people in the grave right now because they couldn't tame their tongue. Do you hear me? There's people in the grave right now, dead, because they're like, what did you say about my mama? What did you say about my kids? Now, don't get me wrong. If someone is disrespecting your family, you're going to stand up for your family. But just be mindful and wise on how you do it, because, you can't go around fighting the world, bro. You'll be the one sitting behind a jail cell. Because I'm telling you, bro, people will try to do stuff to trigger you. Like I said before, I'm transparent, bro. I say what's on my heart, bro, but it's all in love. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a comedian, right? There's a comedian, a local comedian. Like, I don't even know if he's still doing comedy, but one time he said, he was like, you are not funny, and you hide behind your disability. And I was just thinking, like, how am I hiding behind a disability when I have a disability? You know what I'm saying? That's like telling someone you're hiding behind your wheelchair. Yeah, you're hiding behind your wheelchair. People are crazy. And that same individual, was like, oh, I don't like you because you believe in God. And I'm thinking, like, this is crazy. It's a local comedian. And this was like 2017 or whatever. And then when I realized something, I said, oh, snap. You always do a self-evaluation when people say stuff about you. You say, wait a minute, have I said anything to that person? No. Have I tried to fight or kill that person? No. Have I ever gossiped or slandered that person's name? No. So why do they hate me? And that's when you realize real fast that they have the issue, they have the problem. It could be that I'm Black and successful. It could be that I have more shows and I'm getting paid thousands of dollars, but they're doing open mics for free. Now, there's nothing wrong with open mics, but if you're gonna be disrespectful towards me, I'm gonna have to call you out on that. Like, don't be mad because you don't get paid for shows yet. Oh, but you only been doing it 6 years. I've been doing it 15 years. That sounds like a personal problem. That's not my problem. Write better jokes and have a loving heart, and then maybe the crowd will laugh and maybe the crowd will love you. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know for me and my house, we're going to continue to serve the Lord, and the Lord that I serve it created love. There's no, without him, there is no love. When I was born as a baby, I didn't even know what love was. But Jeremiah 1:5 says, before I knew you, before you were in your mother's womb, I knew you. So before I was even on this planet called Earth, I was in the presence of God. I was in the presence of God. You know what I'm saying? And when I take my last breath, I'll be back in the presence of God. You got to understand something. Every human being comes in this world naked, and they come in with nothing. And when they leave out naked, basically, and they leave with nothing. We take none of these tangible things with us because life is spiritual and physical. The reason why we can't take physical things with us is because we came from a spiritual place. So if we came from a spiritual place, in heaven, you don't need tangible things. Everything is considered spiritual. That's why in heaven, you don't even have to eat because you're hungry. You eat because you're hungry, because in the physical body, this life of sin, this body of sin, it's always dying. Every single day, you're getting closer to death. If no one kills you from a car accident or a gun or a stabbing, you will die naturally. Why? Because of sin. That's the reason why people get old. We don't get old just because it's like, oh, well, you're getting older, so you have to get wrinkled and old. We get old because when Adam and Eve sinned, God has to keep his word. And he promised, he said, if you eat from that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will surely die. God's no liar. He already warned them. If God warns you to stay away from a certain tree or a certain thing, and it's crazy though. I'm gonna have to do another video after this about this because I'm gonna just wait. I'm gonna just save it for the next video because the next video is gonna be pretty exclusive what I'm gonna say. So just stay tuned in. But my dog's always barking. Always barking, man. Ain't nobody even out there. Yeah, man. So we're gonna do another video in just a second. All right, man. So let's continue. So we talked about the suicides. All I want people to do is be encouraging and be uplifting and be edifying. If we could do those things, we'll be good to go. You know, we got to be encouraging, we got to be uplifting, we got to be edifying. And if we continue to do that when we write jokes, we'll be just fine. We'll be just fine. Sometimes when people are hurting, they need someone to talk to. I'm not against therapy. I'm not against people talking to someone about their issues, their problems, their childhood trauma. You know, we need that. We need that in our life. I think that a lot of people that are older, like older than age 55, 65, 75, 85, 95, sometimes they just want someone to talk to. You have people that have held on to things for so many years. You have people that are up in age and their family is just experienced nothing but brokenness. And they just want someone to talk to, man. That's why sometimes you got to take one for the team. If you're around someone and they're disrespectful, they say things that are racist or whatever, sometimes it's not them trying to do that on purpose. Sometimes it's the hurt and pain. They never sat down with a therapist and got that help. And so it's important, man. It's important. I want people to be more focused on the 9 fruit of the spirit. You know how you have love, peace, joy, gentleness, goodness, faithfulness, perseverance, forbearance, self-control, kindness. I mean, you have to make sure that you operate and produce that type of fruit. A lot of times people don't get it, bro. Like, we can be consistent with everything else, but loving on people, why is that so difficult? Why is it so difficult to love someone? Because people have baggage and they have things they don't want to lay at the cross. That's the reason why. I'll tell you why. Everybody wants everybody to be friends. Everybody can't be friends until people lay everything at the cross. You know, there's people that are so oblivious to their own issues. They think that they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they don't even realize that the reason why no one talks to them, the reason why no one visits them, no one goes to the nursing homes, the reason why is because people got turned off by you. Don't ever think for 1 second that if you don't have friends or people that check on you or talk to you, I don't understand. I don't understand why people don't come around. I'm gonna tell you, you probably said a lot of stuff, and you probably got so much pride you don't even know how to apologize. See, people, they want to do things their way. I say, like, I'm a type of person, I need affirmation. Apologize to me if you said something disrespectful. Don't give me a cake. Don't give me a pie. Don't give me money. Don't give me a car. Can't drive it anyway. Don't give me a business. Just apologize. Just apologize, bro. I don't understand why people have such a hard time apologizing. I mean, why? Why is it so hard for you to just apologize? Because people are selfish. That's why. And people are stuck in their ways and they don't want to change. And you get a whole group of people wanting to do what they want to do. And that's the reason why when you see these different comedians, they're hurting behind closed doors. Don't ever think just because people are rich and they got money on top of money and they have big mansions and fast cars, sometimes people are hurting, like they want you to think that, oh, I got a tequila deal, I'm drinking alcohol. That's what this is about. Yeah, I'm getting high as a kite. I'm unconscious now. That's how high I am. That's what this is about. Don't judge someone else's lifestyle. Do you know what the word judgment means? It means a choice. Someone's saying, I don't like the way that the choices you're making, and I care about you. If we can understand the etymology of a word, we will actually we can be world changers, bro. And people that have the issues could be world changers too. And we all can come together and actually enjoy life. But until people humble themselves, people are going to do what they want to do. But my heart goes out to Robin Williams, Jack Knight, Brody Stevens, all of these people, man, because they were hurting. They were hurting behind closed doors. And just because someone is funny on stage doesn't mean that they enjoy their life. That's why I tell people, I know everybody's not going to subscribe to following the Lord, but I do. That's the reason why my success is not based on what people say, do, or whatever. I get excited just like the next person if I have a great show. I get excited too when, someone gives me $3,000 for 60 minutes, $5,000 for 60 minutes. Like all that stuff feels great. But that's not what defines me. Just because I'm on tours doesn't mean that I stop praying. Just because I'm on tour doesn't mean I stop studying the Bible. Like, because people get caught up in the fame and the fortune. They'll be like, oh man, I don't need God. You know what I'm saying? I just kind of needed them to get my foot in the door. Now I'm here. All right, guys, see you later. Nah, bro, I'm nothing without God. I tell people that all the time. And that's the reason why my steps are ordered. Psalms 37:23, for the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his ways. I want my creator to delight in my ways, bro. I've seen so many people in Hollywood die, rappers die, actors die, all these people dying, but I don't like how they're dying. I'm like, they weren't ready to see God, because the lifestyle that people live is normally contrary to what God said in the Bible. So they weren't ready. I don't give a care how many pictures of doves and angels you want to show, like appear at the funeral. I don't give a care what you post at the funeral. That's what we are doing. Man can do whatever we want, right? But the person that is standing before God, that's a whole nother lifestyle. So if I'm on stage and I'm cursing everybody out and demeaning women and throwing alcohol bottles all over the place and just acting a fool, and I'm standing before God now, yeah, my family may say, oh, he went to heaven. He got his wings. He graduated. But what is God saying? That's the stuff I think about. Because I tell people, don't lie at my funeral. Tell people like it is. Tell people who you were, who you are. Don't even talk about the good stuff. Like humans are always good. Oh, we want to celebrate their life though and think about the positive. No, I'm talking about me right now. If I'm not living the life, in fact, don't even have my funeral in the church if I don't go to church. That don't even make sense to me. There's people that hate church, hate God, hate the Bible, hate Jesus, all that stuff. But when they die, where's the funeral at? Where is the funeral at? The church. I said, what kind of nonsense? So that's when I realized something. I said, yeah, I think we need to focus on what God's plan is for our life. So when we do die, it makes sense to have the funeral in the church. Doesn't make sense if I'm out on the corner selling drugs, selling dope to people, and then they get addicted and then they die, and then I get shot because I'm selling drugs. And then for some reason, the pastor's like, well, let me get this message together for the funeral. Makes no sense. Makes no sense whatsoever. So that's the reason why we have to be very, very mindful of everything we do, because people are hurting. That's why this video is about emotions, and it's about understanding your past, your present, and your future. If my mom, like, I'm gonna show you something about emotions and show you how people, they say, oh, how do you know you got your full healing? It's because when you see something again, you're not triggered in a bad way. So for example, I'll give you a good example, man. I'll give you a good example. um oh my goodness, man. If my mom spanked me at 8 years old, gave me a spanking, I mean, she hit me with a switch, extension cord, if that's what happened, that pain that I felt at that moment, I cannot feel that pain right now in the present moment. What all I can do is remember what was done. Okay. All I can remember is what was done when I was 6, when I was 8, when I was 10, when I was 12 years old. But that pain, if I don't get a therapist or if I don't get a chance to heal, and they just keep putting more and more pain upon my spirit, man, upon my soul, the older I get, I still need healing. I may end up getting married and I'm acting all weird and awkward towards my spouse because I never got the healing from the childhood trauma. Everybody wants to be married, but we got to understand, before we get married, we need to also know who we are, and we have to make sure that we sought out help and maybe went through a season of therapy. You know what I'm saying? So then, whatever mental health issues we got going on, we can get that help. You know, excuse me. So we can be able to get that help. Oklahoma allergies. So another example, if I did drugs, hypothetically speaking, in high school, whatever I felt that moment, I don't feel in the present moment, right? Even if you're doing drugs in the present moment, you will never feel that exact high again. That's why people stay addicted, because they're chasing after that original high. So I just think that we got to be mindful of people's healing. That's what this video is really about. I want people to be very mindful to let people heal. If somebody in your neighborhood hurt you with their words, and you decide you don't want to ever see them again, right? That's a process of healing. And they have to understand and respect that until they like this is the crazy part. Most people that hurt people, they don't even like think that they're doing something wrong, right? So then if you've been hurt because someone says something verbally that hurt you, and then you have every right to stay away so you can be healed. Otherwise, you will keep getting hurt more and more and more. Same thing with the church. A lot of people don't go to church anymore because they've been hurt by the church, or they felt like the church just wanted their tithes and offering, but then when they needed help paying their rent or something, then they got the runaround and they didn't get the money. So that can cause hurt. That's church hurt. There's other levels to church hurt, but that's the main one that I've always heard people talk about. The pastors getting money, they're traveling, doing mission trips based off the church's money. They got a nice salary, but then when you need help after giving your money, hard-earned money that you work for, then it's like they don't have that same level of giving heart that they preach you. They want you to have. They tell you, oh man, give, give, give. But then when it's time, the reciprocal, it's like when it's time for them to give to you to pay rent for the next 6 months, then it's an issue. So I don't know, man. It's just everything is just backwards in life. And I just think that we need to step back and allow people the opportunity to heal. You know, we need to allow people the opportunity to heal. Um, I feel like there was something else that I wanted to say. That may have been it. Again, the love, the joy, the peace, all of that. is very, very important, because I want people to know that when you live in the present moment, um, with love and peace and joy and harmony, man, I just believe that what happens is something special happens. Like, it allows the Lord to heal your heart from whatever it is in your past. Like, there's people that may have like rejected me. Like, one time this mega church pastor rejected me. He was like, "Nah, you can't come do comedy at my church." Right. So he booked some famous comedians or whatever. I said, okay, that's cool. Right. But that was still a form of rejection. He said no to me and yes to strangers. Right. I give tithes and offering to him, but those people don't. And then I get rejected. I'm a member of the church, they're not, but they get chosen and I get rejected. And for years, it was bothering me that, like, wow, man, I'm a little confused. He preaches on use your spiritual gifts. God gave you spiritual gifts. Then when I ask for the opportunity, you reject me. So that tells me right there, you're showing favoritism, and that's not cool. What happened was, I didn't know this, but in mega churches, they book celebrity pastors. They don't book people that may have the talent within their congregation. I didn't know that. So I wasted all these years just trying to reach out to churches, and it's based off how many followers you have on social media now. If you pay attention to every mega church and who they book, go to the Instagram of that pastor they book, and I guarantee you it's in the six figures, or if not a million plus. So it's based off of your following on social media, not based on your anointing. It's not based on what God may have told you. God may have told me you should be performing there. God may have told them he needs to be performing there. But because they didn't listen to the voice of God, and they listened to themselves, the flesh in them, because pastors can operate in the flesh too. Um, they missed the opportunity. Because if this is all about it's God's church, not our church, then you should be giving more opportunities to people. That's how we get to the next level. But if you want to be the stumbling block that keeps us from going to that next level, then we're gonna have to look elsewhere. And that's when it's gonna be real weird when you go elsewhere and you end up like a Beyonce who was singing in the church and then went to the secular world, became a multi-billionaire, and then now every church and their mama will allow Beyonce to come and sing just for one Sunday. If she came and wanted to sing in a mega church 3 gospel songs, they will let her in. Why? Because the pastor is all about the celebrity and the status. He will think that, oh, we'll get a lot of people to come into the church if Beyonce wants to sing. You see how backwards the world is. So don't ever think just because someone's preaching from scriptures is that they're doing the right thing. Because even the white slave masters preach from the scriptures to the slaves. So don't ever just assume that because someone opens up a Bible that their intentions are always good, because it's not. It's not. All right. So again, like I said before, I didn't want this to be too long. I just wanted everybody to understand that, like let people heal, talk to someone. Don't ever walk through life alone. There's people that want to hear you out. But just be fair too, bro, because there's people that just want to complain all the time about their past, and it's like, well, what can we do to help? Like, if someone is still with obesity and they're always talking about, oh, my body's in pain, my body hurts. Well, the first question you want to ask them is, what's your eating habits like? Because if you're eating greasy food, high cholesterol food, foods that will raise your blood pressure, foods that will cause your liver and kidneys and everything to clog up, then you got to stop that. Don't complain. People don't want to be around complainers, bro. I said, share what's on your heart, but then also you got to follow up with wanting to get that help. And so if I'm struggling with something, anytime I'm struggling with something, I'll ask God. I'll be like, yo, what do you think about this? Because this is an issue for me. He'll show me right in the scriptures where to go. And then within a few weeks or a month or two, like, I'm good. And then I just remain walking in consistency with them. If I'm having another issue of some sort, I can ask my wife, hey, what do you think about this? She'll help me out. If I'm having another issue, ask my son. Like, we could talk to people, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. When you hold that stuff in, you end up becoming angry at the world, and it doesn't end well. So My thing is, I just want people to rise above the obstacles, man, and go from there. Last thing I'll say is, um, you have to be independent in this comedy industry. You have to learn to be independent. Nobody owes anybody anything. If someone books me for a show, they're not booking me in the Wu-Tang Clan of comics. Like, I'm not supposed to show up with everybody and their mama. Like, they booked me. So it's obviously something that I have that they're seeking after. And I think a lot of people in Oklahoma, I'm gonna be very specific, they have it misconstrued thinking that my success is supposed to be your success, or your success is supposed to be my success. I don't think like that. If when I see comedians book shows, I clap because I'm like, yo, they're succeeding, right? But a lot of people don't have that same type of response towards other people, and I don't think that that's right. Again, people have clicks. People have, people will be online, right? And they'll be following you, but they won't click like on any of your stuff. They won't even try to like work with you, right? But then they'll click like and follow everybody else. And I just think it's interesting that you follow me being nosy. You follow other people because it's a click. And so that's not even like genuine relationships. That's just them building a click. And so, yeah, you'll see all these familiar faces and everything. But one thing about Oklahoma comedy, people have to realize that in order for you to go up, you have to operate in a different lane. Like, let's say, for example, like in comedy, I'm gonna do this in another video. I'm gonna do this in another video. I'm gonna do this in another video. So I'm throwing the deuces, bro. Get your healing. I'm here for you. Hit me up if you need something.